Hey guys, we're here to talk about 3 attractions that if we were to go back to being cast members again, what 3 attractions we would not want to work at Walt Disney World. So I'm here with Craig Williams.
Hello.
And to my left is the Lady Clavin.
Oh, how dare you.
Hello.
Sorry. So should I start it off?
Yes.
All right. So for me, my number 3 was It's a Small World. Sorry, my voice just squeaked. But yes, it's a small world. I just feel like if you just sat in there and heard that song over and over and over again, it would just drive you.
Not a fan, huh?
No, I like the ride. I love the ride. I like the history of the ride. I like the artwork of the ride. But just being in there all day with
Can't
that
imagine
song,
an 8-hour shift in there.
Yeah, It's a Small World for 8 hours would just drive me insane. I think someone actually sued. They got stuck in the ride and they sued Disney because they're like, they couldn't handle it.
Well, plus, how many positions are there? You don't, because there's nobody in the attraction. There's nobody on the boat.
Well,
you're in the tower. You're loading and you're unloading and you're at greeter.
I don't know this
so
for
it's not a lot of mix up, right?
I don't know this for a fact, but they might also work Peter Pan. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's part of the rotation.
Yeah, it might be part of it.
Interesting.
I don't know that for a fact, but I wouldn't be surprised. Also, I'm probably pretty sure that those people have to do the cross when the crowds are really heavy and that area bottlenecks.
Oh, they have to be.
They have to manage
directors.
They have to. That just sounds horrible. So so that would be my number 3. So Craig, do you want to go for your number 3?
Oh, well, my number 3 is actually a shocker when I told you guys earlier. It is Kilimanjaro Safari. And
That's on my list of top places.
Yeah, that's a weird choice. Explain.
Okay, well, first off, as we all know, Animal Kingdom is torture almost year-round because of the heat. And
True.
While you do I believe you get fancy shorts if you do work at Kilimanjaro Safaris, it is still that just endless amount of heat that radiates through that park. And that is part of why I wouldn't want to work there. But then the second part is just my road rage. And the fact that it's those Jeeps they're limited to how fast they can actually go, and it's just while it may seem like it's all great, we're gonna keep going in circles and seeing animals and the whole driving portion. For me, that would just be frustrating. This thing isn't going fast enough.
Stressing you out the whole time.
Yeah.
Can I combat? Because I want to hear what your response is to this. So my reason behind hating It's a Small World is because the monotony of It's a Small World. So wouldn't you think it'd be nice to I feel like with that, you're driving around in circles, but you're seeing different animals approach different times, and
I can't say that I mind monotony. It is the sound of my voice, and it is it's the spirit in my heart. For me, something if I'm driving, I need to drive. I can't be limited.
Stop and go. Yeah. Okay.
And that's why this would drive me insane.
Oh, wordplay.
Got him.
He's on point.
Got him.
Well, mine is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I know it's not here anymore, but I wanted to include it because I was in the danger. They were originally going to have Lights, Motors, Action, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids try and overlap with each other. And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids just sounds like a freaking nightmare to me because you're not close enough to talk to anybody. Not that you should ever be speaking to anybody, a cast member, unless it is absolutely work relevant. They were very no conversing with anybody in the areas I worked, and so you can't talk to anybody. You're not really in any positions to have conversations with anybody because people just come in, they let their kids go wherever they want to go, and you're stuck there just telling somebody's kid to get off of a rock wall, and the kid probably doesn't speak English, and the parent's trying to take the photo, and they're getting mad because you're telling the kid to do something. And,
well, it's like glorified babysitting, I feel like.
Well, and there were a lot of Alpha ambulances called there frequently because there was this area in the crawl tunnel where kids could hit their head, and so the kid crawls in, blood comes out. So it just seems like not high stress, but just 8 hours of standing in just almost the exact same places, never being able to say anything or have any conversations with anybody, and you can't really have that Disney experience with the guests in there. No, thank you.
I could see also a lot of lost children.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, so I was just please never. I was the day that they try to give me that yellow shirt, I was is the day I leave. But luckily it never happened, so.
Okay, so moving on to number 2. For me, I have the Astro Orbiter. in Tomorrowland. I worked in Tomorrowland. My fiance worked on the Astro Orbiter. But I can just imagine being up there. Speaking of Animal Kingdom being hot, sitting on the top of that thing, burning in the sun.
Yeah.
You're usually by yourself. Sometimes there's a second person who helps, but like sometimes you're just stuck there all by yourself, burning in the sun. Just sounds like a nightmare. So
I don't like riding that ride. I'm afraid of heights, and it feels like I'm going to roll out of the ride. So you have to deal with people like me screaming like ridiculous, crazy people.
I can't deal with your emotional problems right now. But I will give you my number 2. And my number 2 is actually the Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith.
Is it because of your distaste of Aerosmith music?
I don't. I actually love Aerosmith. I've seen them in concert before. I don't hold any judgment on them that they're from Massachusetts. It's all
I'm just letting you know that Joe Perry used to come into the bookstore I worked at all the time. Steven would come in from time to time.
I do love Aerosmith. I listen to their music very regularly. My problem with it isn't so much like, I don't have a problem with having to work the greeter position there because you do just get to listen to Aerosmith all the time. My problems would be in their area where it all meets up, the regular line, fast pass, and single riders. It is always a cluster in there, and it always just smells like BO. And I'm then going into the pre-show while we enjoy watching the pre-show video is guests all the time. I'm sure you only need to be in that room and watch it like 10 times in a row to realize that you hate your life.
Who's the dude running the controls? What is his name?
It is
I always forget his name.
I always forget too.
Yeah.
I love him though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. Oh my gosh, I even said his name the other day because he was on the show I was watching it. But I standing there in line for the little bit of time that you are in that intersection area I get stressed out because the people keep yelling about moving all the way down, and you're already all the way down.
Yeah.
And I've moved, but it's like
there's not enough room.
It's like torture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine being like stuck there for like a 20, 30 minute position, 45 minutes, who knows?
Yeah. The other thing too that would just be horrible about that is it's a safety critical like attraction.
Yeah.
So I can imagine
Ken Marino.
But it just seems like one of those attractions where like if you literally do anything wrong, like you could easily get terminated or fired or whatever because you could kill someone if like something goes wrong.
Well, and that's so then if I can keep moving along with the positions, then you go into the load room. Well, first grouping and loading, and as of working, when I worked at Universal at Dragon Challenge, one of the beautiful things about that was that we had a front row line all by itself, so it was very easy. At Rock and Roller Coaster, I'm sure they hate getting that question. Can we wait for the front row? Yeah, go wait around there. I mean, that's true for any roller coaster. But then just being in that room, having to load, have to group, it's so loud. Just every couple minutes here and that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the shoot off. And then working at the unload there, it's the same thing. It's just loud. It's blasting all the time. So as much as I love the Rock and Roller Coaster, it's a great roller coaster, and I love so many aspects of it, including Aerosmith. I just feel like it would be a loud nightmare.
Yeah, you won me over on this one.
My number 2 is Toy Story Midway Mania, and it is because I'm sure if you're a cast member and you've worked there, you'll be like, no way, because they do have really good camaraderie there. Because it is always a very well staffed attraction. However, the way people reacted in the stunt show is nothing to how they used to react like for Toy Story. The thing is at Toy Story, it was all about hitting about that number. And like once you've broken the ceiling on the number of how many, the hourly guest capacity, you're just being forced to beat that. So it's all about faster. And, and obviously you want that too, because it's the most popular attraction at Hollywood Studios and maybe arguably one of the most popular in Disney World. But people were just horrible human beings to like greeter cast members when FastPass was there. It's still there, but I'm talking about the paper FastPass, like, cause they'd have to like walk people in with a rope in the morning to make sure that nobody would like try and push them down or whatever. And then the fast passes would be gone, and people would come like swearing. They'd spit on you. They'd threaten you. It was just all that fun stuff that they had to deal with. And every now and then I'd have to go down as like an extra position from like backlot. If it was a cold day and we weren't doing the full shows, they'd be like, okay, well, you're going to go greet down at Toy Story. And I'm like, oh, dear God, no.
Yeah, well, I can totally understand the whole frustration of having to deal with meeting those goals. Like like they have to get the certain amount of people through the attraction. Because when I worked at Buzz, it wasn't to the same level because it wasn't as popular, but we still had those numbers.
No, yeah, and you want to meet those, because that impacts the guest experience, of course.
Right, it impacts the guest experience. It impacts, like, if the managers are in a grumpy mood, and it also then can give you less time to, like, I feel like I have a harder time being a good cast member because I'm worried about being efficient.
Yeah.
I'm worried about being efficient, and so I don't have really the time to be that friendly Disney cast member that I want to be. Because like you're just so worried about
that's
herding cattle almost.
Yeah,
like,
and then you get the reputation like
you're
the guy that ruined the routine. It puts you the same way the stunt show did this. It puts you in a position to have only negative guest interactions, and that was my big issue with Lights, Motors, Action is that there was very few areas to have that you were set up for success to have a positive interaction.
You guys are just weak. Over at Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, not only were we able to always hit capacity goals, including getting a perfect hour while I was working there, not only that, but we were also able to theme and constantly interact with positive experiences with guests. So that must be a Disney thing that they can't multitask.
It was also a management issue where I was from. I worked in an area that was notoriously known for poor. Not to say there were some great people that worked back there, but specifically. There's just one terrible person that was unfortunately in charge. So, what'd you get for number one?
Number one, I have Primeval Whirl in Animal Kingdom. It is one of my least favorite attractions, for sure. And it also, I feel like, probably deals with a lot of people vomiting on it.
Ugh.
It probably deals with, there was some tragedy of cast members passing away that attraction. So, yeah, just not a place I would want to be. And it wouldn't be something I could be proud of, too. Like, there's safety critical places like Rock and Roller Coaster or Space Mountain or stuff like that.
You've got like a Disney, like that kind of like, I work at this place.
Yeah, I work at Space Mountain.
Yeah.
Or, even though it has that safety critical
pride.
You have that pride of where do you work at Walt Disney World? Oh, I work on Space Mountain. That's pretty cool. Oh, I work at Primeval Whirl. Who cares?
You work at the fairground.
Yeah,
do you?
Yeah, right. So that was my number one. Craig, what was your number one?
Oh, my number one was Swiss Family Treehouse.
Fair.
I'm pretty sure all they have is a greeter.
They must, because there isn't a cast member like up in the treehouse, is there?
Yeah,
I think, but I could be mistaken. But I think they do a rotation with carpets.
That does not make it much better. That actually adds to why it would be terrible.
Yeah, right.
So
is it just the isolation for you? Is it just the lack of doing anything?
When I worked at Test Track, my most hated position there was greeter. While it gives the opportunity to like start out their attraction experience in a good way, it's just monotonous. It was different when I worked at Universal because it's so theme driven. You were able to really get into it. But how do you theme to Swiss Family Treehouse? Like, welcome.
Just start calling all the little girls you see, hey there, fella. Because, the girls pretend to,
okay. Yeah. I know. I totally agree with this one. But I liked being greeter when I worked at Buzz or Monsters or whatever. But it was only like a 45-minute rotation. But if it was like if Swiss Family Robinson, if you're stuck there all day, oh gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
My number one would not want to work at because it's very similar to yours, Disney Junior in Hollywood Studios, because the way they clean that place is disgusting. It's just kids all come in, you all sit on the ground, they pee or poop or whatever they do, you put a cone over it, they spray it with something, and then they put a mat over it. So it's literally like a giant litter box for little children that just pee and poop in there.
Pee.
I 100% agree. When we were
toilet from Look Who's Talking.
When we were thinking about which ones we were talking about, and you said this, I was like, "Oh, that was a good one."
Yeah, it just
It's
the
just
smell. It would skeeve me out. Like I wouldn't want to touch anything.
Yeah, hand sanitizer, just would shower in it every night.
Yeah, for real.
But all right, so is that it? That about wraps it up. Thanks for watching the 3 attractions that we would not want to work at Walt Disney World. If you have any attractions that you would not want to work at or think you maybe would if you saw the other video, comment down below and give us a thumbs up. So thanks for watching, guys.